In this video, I'm going to be sharing some of the things I've been cooking in my Ninja Crispi air fryer, so let's get started. I drained and rinsed a can of chickpeas before adding them to the smaller 6-cup container with the crisper tray inserted, and selected the air fry mode for 5 minutes to dry out the moisture. After 5 minutes, season them with oil, salt, chili powder, garlic powder and onion powder, and using silicone tongs, mixing them really well until they're all fully coated. Then run the air fryer again for 10 minutes until they turn brown and crispy. These chickpeas are so delicious, we can't stop munching on them, and they're also healthy. You should definitely try these are perfect for snacking. The kind of chickpeas I used had smaller chickpeas, and some of them fell through the gaps on the crisper tray, so some of those couldn't crisp up as well. If you use slightly bigger chickpeas, then you should be okay. You may, however, need to add a couple of minutes extra to get them crispy. When making grilled cheese, we like to spread mayo on the outside. You can also use butter or margarine. Butter may burn though, I'm not sure, I've never really tried it because we always prefer mayo. Then laying it mayo side down and filling it with mozzarella cheese, then baked beans, then topped with cheddar cheese. Then place another slice of bread on top with mayo. Pop the powerpod on and select air fry mode for 10 minutes. The bread, however, flew to the top. Thankfully, the heating element is covered with a shield, so I wasn't too worried, but I did open it up after about 3 minutes to release it, and because the cheese had melted slightly by then, the bread was able to stick in place. I continued running the program and flipped it over at the 4-minute mark. Then cooked it for another 3 minutes to make it nice and brown. If you prefer it light, you can always take it out 1 minute sooner. Oh my goodness, this was so good. If you guys haven't tried this yet, then you have no idea what you're missing. You may be wondering, what? Baked beans? But yes, again, trust me, the cheese melted with the sauce and the fact that beans are very high in protein and fiber, they're so good for you. And there are so many ways to make a grilled cheese or cheese toasty, if that's what you call it. Feel free to share what you would add in the comments below. And just to take a look at the hood of the powerpod, where the mayo and bread got stuck, I did give it a wipe once it cooled down because I don't want it to stick on and then become much harder later on to clean. When making burgers, I like to preheat the unit first for about 5 minutes. I mix my ground beef with salt, chili powder, garlic and onion powder and smash these down into patties. I spritz them with a little oil and place them oil side down so they don't stick to the tray. I can place 4 patties in the big 4-quart container, and since they will shrink, I'm not too worried about them overlapping. On other air fryers, I usually cook them using the broil setting, but since the Ninja Crispi doesn't have a broil setting, I have to use air fry mode. I set the time for 3 minutes, flip them after about 2.5 minutes, and set the time for 1 more minute to get them to a medium doneness. And take a look at how much meat juices came out. I like to hang on to this and not throw it out because it comes in useful for other recipes. I also like to drizzle some on the cooked patties when I need to reheat them so they don't dry out. This is one of my go-to foods when I need to get dinner or lunch out quickly. My kids don't like it too meaty, so these are perfect for them, but us adults usually place 2 smash burgers in a bun and it's perfect. Plus, the thinner they are, the quicker they cook. I make a lot of pizza, but I wasn't sure how the Crispi would handle the underside. So as a test, I decided to make breadsticks first. I proofed my dough in the bigger container with some parchment paper underneath so it doesn't seep through the holes. When ready, I brushed on some oil before setting it to bake for 30 minutes. And as I suspected, the bottom does not cook. So I flipped it over at the 12-minute mark, removed the parchment paper and sprayed a little more oil on before continuing to cook. I took it out when there was still 2 minutes left because I didn't want it to get too dark, and it looked amazing. The oil helped give it a beautiful golden color. While it was still hot, I brushed on some melted butter mixed with garlic powder and sun-dried tomato and herb seasoning, and the bread looked amazing. I also sprinkled on some Parmesan cheese on half of it only because one of my kids doesn't like it. I let it cool for about 30 minutes before cutting into it. Just take a look at this fluffy bread. It looks amazing. It was so soft inside with a beautiful crusty finish on the outside. I'm telling you, it looked and tasted amazing. I cut them into the shape of breadsticks and everyone loved these. After my trial run with the bread, I was comfortable enough to make my homemade pizza. So again, laying it on parchment paper and brushing the top with oil to get that golden color. I cooked one side on bake mode for 15 minutes before flipping it over to add the toppings. It's best to remove it from the container to spread the sauce in case you burn yourself on the edge of it. But adding cheese will be better done while it's in the container so you don't have to lift it up while it's loaded. Then I continued to cook it until the cheese started bubbling, which took about 7 minutes. My dough was a little thick, so I ended up with a deep dish style pizza. You can see how fluffy the dough is and just how well it cooked it. The second time I made it, I rolled out my dough a little thinner and reduced the time to 10 minutes for the first side and about 5 to 6 minutes for the other side. Moving on to baking cookies, let me first start by saying I am not a sweet baker. So I did have to look online for an easy cookie recipe, and a soft cookie recipe popped up. With the crispy preheating for 5 minutes, I started shaping my cookie mixture into balls and placing them onto parchment paper. I can fit 4 in the big container, making sure to leave enough room between them to expand. Once ready, I placed them into the air fryer, and the recipe called for 7 to 10 minutes, so I left it at 10 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, I had to flip them part way because obviously the underside would not cook, and because they were too soft and I couldn't get a good hold of them, I took them out to flip them over. The recipe did say that they will be puffy and soft in the middle, but I think I shaped the balls a little too big. So for the next batch, I made smaller balls. So they were starting to brown quite a bit, so I took them out after 9 minutes. For the next batch, I made smaller balls and also flattened them a little, which means that they cooked much faster than the first batch. In total, the second batch took 7 minutes. Once they cooled down, I tore into them. While they tasted amazing, the first batch seemed a little undercooked for my liking. Even though the recipe said it would, the texture wasn't very appealing. The second batch, however, looked much better, and flattening them also helped. I know they don't look very appealing, but they tasted really good. My chocolate chips did kind of melt everywhere as well in the second batch, but that was because the unit was hot by then. Unfortunately, I think the bake setting on the Crispy is a tad high at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for baking cookies or delicate treats, especially when recipes use regular ovens at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. The rule of thumb for air fryers is to lower the temperature by 25 degrees. So technically I should have cooked these at 325 degrees Fahrenheit, which is why they seemed like they were overcooked on the outside and were undercooked on the inside. Anyway, this is just my observation. I think I'll just stick to baking bread and pizza in this. If you would like recipes to all the dishes I've cooked in this video, then you can find them in my Ninja Crispi Facebook group. I will leave a link in the description box. I usually share all my recipes there and lots of others that haven't been included in this video. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found the video useful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And please don't forget to give this video a like. If you are new to my channel, do consider subscribing. And I hope to catch you in my next video.